Hi, I'm Wakar and I am new to this blogging world. Not very prepared, I've got my notes, but it's something that I want to address. And the reason why I'm doing this blog is something that I care quite deeply about. It's something that isn't maybe spoken about so much. Maybe in recent times it's getting a bit more open. But what I want to start a dialogue about and start getting out there more is mental health and opening a discussion, having a space for people to learn more about it and keep the conversation going. So a bit about myself. I'm 28, I live in the Midlands, in Birmingham. I'm currently studying to be a psychotherapist. Another reason why I want to speak more about mental health and open the conversation so that it's not something that's, shoved in the carpet and a bit of a hush subject, something that we can speak about freely and discuss with one another. So one of the main purposes I want to do this is to raise awareness of mental health, show everyone that they're not alone in it, there is support out there, there is a community of people going through the same kind of issues, maybe educate people on how maybe they can deal with certain things better, and also educate them about what certain conditions actually are and knowing when to kind of be aware of what you're going through and how you can deal with it. So one of the things that triggered off why I started this blog, not only as a psychotherapist and in my training I want to document my journey and how I progress and develop, but also something that was quite hard-hitting for me to learn. On the 10th of October it was International Mental Health Day, and one of the kind of statistics and figures that they came out with was that by 2030 depression will be the leading illness globally. And that's kind of hard to deal with and how to take in, knowing that globally, depression is going to hit everyone and it's going to be one of the things that everyone is suffering with. And other than that, there are various stats and figures, you hear about them all the time, about, what the UK is dealing with. I mean, that's on a global scale, but, something like 1 in 5 teens experience mental health in a year. Suicide is the most common cause of death between 20 to 49-year-olds in England and Wales. I mean, it's endless. There's loads of stuff out there and it all kind of hits me and makes me think, why is nothing being done, or why isn't enough being done to take care of people's well-being and mental health. So this is partly why, I want to start this blog, and I want it to be something that's consistent and keeps them going and hopefully leads to something that allows people to start a conversation and be more open about it. So we often speak about the huge stigma around mental health and why it's a bit of this dark cloud and this thing that no one really talks about openly and it is avoided. And I think part of the stigma is mainly caused by the dialogue and the language that people use that associate with mental health, all the the labels and the name calling. And there might be something that we've started doing from a young age, and now that we're adults, we probably aren't even aware of the impact of some of this language. And I'm not completely PC, I use some stupid language every now and then, but I've more recently become a bit more conscious about the kind of words that I use and how they may have a negative impact on someone, even in the context of banter and having a joke, just being a bit more aware of what might be said and how it might be impacted. And like I said, this is probably language that kids are using, grown adults are using, and they may not know any differ of what the negative impact is. But I think once we are a bit more conscious about the language we use and how we can eliminate some of it, will also reduce the stigma around mental health and what we're kind of causing. So what I'm going to do is show you some of these words, eliminate them in the way that I can today, but also as a little bit of a visual to make you guys understand about what the language is that is out there, what it can cause, and how you can maybe think twice about using certain words. So by wasting a few sheets of paper and acting like a bit of an idiot, I've, at least demonstrated some of the language that people use, made you think a little bit about how it might have a negative impact. Some people use these on the daily, some people use them with their mates, some people use them with their family members, but it's just thinking twice about, what might trigger people off or what might cause a negative impact, and they're offensive anyway. So we shouldn't really be using those words, especially around kids. So just a way of thinking twice about the kind of language that we use. Blushed.
Oh, yeah.
So I was gladly able to move on past uni, to do well, move on to get a job, and right now, reflecting on it, feeling that it was something really minor and really stupid, but it was something that was quite real at the time that I was going through, and just wanted to share to maybe bring to light a little bit how I experienced it and how others may be going through a similar process or similar experiences, particularly those who are still at uni now and maybe seeing this and thinking, okay, yeah, this is me right now. Don't deal with it how I dealt with it, which was pretty much not dealing with it at all. There is definitely, since I was at uni, which wasn't so long ago, but I'm sure they've got a lot more support services available now, and a lot more people that you can turn to in terms of your tutors and how understanding they can be. So yeah, definitely don't feel like you're alone in it. There's definitely a support system for you. It might be your peers, it might be your tutors or other people that are based in your faculty, but definitely don't feel like you need to experience it alone. One of the other things I kind of noticed throughout maybe growing up and even more when I was going through anxiety myself was the impact of caffeine on my anxiety levels, and how that is something that really can trigger it off. I never really was a coffee drinker at all. I think I only started drinking coffee at uni because it was to help me function and keep me awake and alive to do assignments. So I never really liked the taste of it at all. Now I am the complete opposite, and I can drink it like a gallon of water, probably not that much. But it's something that wasn't to a taste that when I first started, but it was more the functional side of it. But then it was that time where there was a lot of energy drinks being released on the market. Not naming names, but there was some that you'd have just to be cool and be able to fit in and be able to order something that your mates are having at the same time, but not really knowing or being aware of the caffeine levels in them and how they are maybe 2 or 3 times more than your average coffee. So one of the things that definitely has a trigger to anxiety and giving you that bit of a boost and your energy levels, it does in excess kind of cause the effects of anxiety and allows you to experience some of those symptoms that I mentioned earlier. Obviously it will have an impact on your sleep, and in excess you may lead to having some form of anxiety attack or panic attack. So one of the things I really want to go away with today is to think more about your caffeine intake, and another way of being aware around how it can influence how you behave and your anxiety levels and certain things that you experience. I wasn't even aware of some of the things that I wasn't even aware of some of the stuff that we drink on a daily basis, myself personally, and how much caffeine it actually contains, until later on. After uni, maybe I didn't even bother checking whilst I was at uni, because it was more a case of this is what it is, this is going to work, and let's drink it. And now what's even shocking is they come in these supersized cans, which I don't know how one person even manages to finish on their own. But I've seen a lot of young people with these huge, enormous cans with all these fancy brands and colours and all this kind of stuff. But really not so much thinking about the level of caffeine that's really in there. To give you an example, one can of the best known energy drink, which is the can size is 250 milliliters, it has 80 milligrams of caffeine, which is more than one tea bag basically. So you're almost having 4 cups of tea when you're having one of those cans. So it's quite crazy, and people don't stop at one. They'll have 1 in the morning, maybe 1 in the afternoon, and maybe 1 before they go to the gym, whatever else. And it is quite excessive, and I wouldn't be surprised if they are experiencing some sort of anxiety, or it's having some sort of negative impact on them, their sleep and their well-being. One of the things that maybe came to me as a bit of a surprise, and partly because I eat so much of it, was chocolate, and that it also contains a certain number of milligrams of caffeine, especially dark chocolate, which I prefer, and has more caffeine in it. So yeah, it's one of those things that you might be doing a bit of both. You might be having a certain number of energy drinks a day, and also chocolate on top of it. I'm not here to give any health warnings and shock anyone with statistics, because they're already out there. But just to kind of give you an awareness of how energy drinks and chocolate in particular may be impacting on your anxiety, and how eliminating it or reducing it could make a bit of a positive change. I'm not in a stage yet to set anyone to challenge themselves and completely cut out caffeine, because I need it as well sometimes. But maybe if you feel like it is going to give you a bit of a break and helps you in any way, definitely cut it out for a week. See what kind of differences it makes for you. See if your anxiety levels change. Switch to alternatives. You know, if there's energy drinks with caffeine, switch for something that's got, you know, more of a natural energy boost, like ginseng or taurine. Green tea also has caffeine, but it just doesn't release it in the same way that coffee and energy drink does. So think of the options that are out there for you. I'm not in a position to recommend anything yet. I don't want to get sacked by YouTube for naming any brands. But there's a hell of a load of stuff out there that's an alternative to caffeine alone that may have a positive impact on how you're experiencing anxiety and hopefully improve it too. The other thing I wanted to speak about that could hopefully have a positive impact on reducing your anxiety was not so much, you know, something you take, it's more something you can do and practice maybe. It's mindfulness. Some people, you know, it's a new word that's a bit of a buzzword at the moment and people are speaking about it a lot. It might mean something completely different to different people, but it's more of a way of pacing yourself and thinking about your thoughts rather than rushing into them and, you know, thinking too much about what's going to happen in the future and, you know, what you might be stressing or being anxious about. And likewise, in the past, something might have happened a week ago and you're still quite, you know, conscious about it and thinking about it obsessively. Mindfulness is more about, you know, being present and what's happening right now and being aware of your thoughts and just knowing what's going on and being able to just be with it in that present time and not think about it too much about what's going to happen next and what's already happened. And there's various ways of practicing it. I mean, I haven't tried an app called Headspace myself yet, but I know a lot of people that are using it. I would say I'd recommend it because it's, you know, an easier way to practice mindfulness and get, you know, you don't have to be all zen and in a mode to call it meditation, because I don't know if that brings up any perceptions for anyone, or, you know, whether they don't want to see it in a religious context or just, yeah, whatever, it might just throw up something negative. So you don't have to call it meditation, but at least, you know, have it in a way that you can just have some time out. It could be 10 minutes, it could be 20 minutes, half an hour would be fantastic. But I could understand that maybe if you're at work or in a study environment that you can't exactly say, I'm going to have 10 minutes out. Maybe they'll be okay with 10 minutes out actually. I mean, if you just suggest to, you know, whoever it is, your teacher, your lecturer, your employer, that you just need a bit of headspace, that's clever actually how they named it. It only just clicked for me. That's amazing. Order headspace. Yeah, you need some headspace, and whether it's, you know, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, I'm sure they will be understanding that you just need that time out and you need to go and, you know, think about what's going on, whether you're just experiencing a stressful day at work, whether something's happened at home and you're carrying it over and thinking about it. Just take that time out. I've never tried the app, so I'm not sure how it works. I'm not very app savvy or probably blogging savvy either, but go try it, give it a try, see how it works for you. I'm sure it's a way of scheduling it in throughout your day so that you definitely, you know, become in practice of you know, mindfulness, and you do it more consciously and regularly. So definitely could encourage you to do that. I have my own way of doing it. I would like to be more regular, but yeah, it's definitely that I found that has a positive impact and has worked for me as well. So one of the last things I wanted to speak about in today's vlog was seasonal affective disorder. It's something that people might start experiencing around now because it's that time where the clocks will just change back and it's getting a lot darker in the daytime and we have shorter days. So it is something that, you know, I've experienced myself and I know many people at this time of year, although it may be seasonal and things are to come, like Christmas, etc. It's a bit of a darker time, quite literally as well, because it's getting darker as well. But just to give you another, you know, definition, it's something that some people will easily adjust to. Describe a bit more about SAD, seasonal affective disorder. I've got a bit more of a description about, you know, the symptoms and also a definition. I got this from, you know, Mental Health America, so it might be written in American kind of terms. They started off with simply feeling bummed out that winter is on the horizon does not mean you have sad. If you're experiencing the following common symptoms of the disorder and you've experienced them consecutively over the last 3 winters, it might be something that you can consider as seasonal affective disorder. Generally people just get a bit more gloomy because it's dark times and they prefer to be in the sunlight all the time and have longer days. But if you're feeling more of an experience of depression, feelings of misery, guilt, hopelessness, despair, that might be one of the symptoms that you feel. Feeling your anxiety levels going up and feeling more anxious and tense, and not being able to manage your stress as well also might be in the symptoms of seasonal affective disorder as well. So one of the things that I have done throughout the year, not just around the winter time alone, due to a deficiency and in inheritance and maybe in South Asian, is the need for vitamin D. Not that I get the luxury to go away on a holiday every week and get some sun. What I suggest is to definitely take it around this time of year, but maybe if you're experiencing some of these symptoms throughout the year, to maybe take it all year round, or just speak to your GP about what they recommend, and maybe you might need to do a blood test to see if you're deficient. But I think it's known for everyone to take it around this time of year, just because we don't get enough sun in this country. Britain problems. So some of the symptoms might be stuff like aching bones and muscles that you feel all year round, or particularly around this time of year. That could be one of the signs of a deficiency. Weakness in some of your muscles. Again, going back to that core area around your neck and back, my posture is really bad. But I can definitely tell that some of it is caused sometimes by other things, not just my posture. Lack of sleep, again, and again, stuff like your mood, depression, and then generally your mental well-being and how you're feeling could all be an influence of, lack in vitamin D. I take, ones that you can just buy from any health shop. There's no particular brand that's out there that's recommended and tried and tested. There's stuff that's available on prescription as well. If you go for your GP, but it's definitely one of those things that I'll recommend that everyone takes throughout this period. So that kind of wraps it up for this blog. Like I said, this is something I'm completely new at. I don't know if you could call yourself a blogger until maybe you reach 1 million views or have so many followers and have your own brand and stuff. But so yeah, leave it there. Hopefully it's opened up something, it's informed you about some stuff, and there's been some advice that you can hopefully take on and use to deal with maybe anxiety or seasonal affective disorder and whatever else has been discussed today. Usually they end it with leave the comments over here, but no, honestly, this is something that I want to continue. I want to be able to open the dialogue more and be able to discuss mental health like it's a normal thing, because it is. So by all means, if you want to share your experiences, or if you want to speak about something specific for the next one that I do, or anything else that you would like to highlight or discuss or whatever, leave feedback, leave comments, and this is something I aim to continue. I believe it's definitely a positive thing and it's needed. So by all means, share it, get the word out there, and let's get this conversation of mental health going. See you next time.